Hi everyone, Linda Heldman here for Canadian Beats. I have with me on the phone today Brett Emmons from the band The Glorious Sons. Welcome, Brett.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's before noon and I'm talking to a musician. That's not usual.
Well, I got up about 25 minutes ago, so you just got me.
There we go. Okay. So just a bit about the Glorious Sons. You're a Canadian rock band from Kingston, Ontario. You're formed in 2011, and from there you just seem to explode. I have to say, I first saw you last year at Mattawa Voyager Days, and you guys totally blew me away. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think that our live show is probably, one of the things that we pride ourselves on most. So, that's the place where you make your real money and your real fans and have the real good times, probably, of it all. So.
So for anyone listening who doesn't know who you are, and at this point I'm going to say, why don't they know who you are? Because, as I say, you're exploding. Please tell us a bit about the band and your history.
Well, we're a five-piece rock and roll band out of Kingston, Ontario. I didn't even know we formed in 2011 myself. I forgot all about. I don't even know the years anymore. It's kind of been one big blur, but we've just slowly been, progressing and making a name for ourselves in Canada, and it's been one hell of a ride.
And not just Canada, but also in the States. You've been doing some touring.
Yeah, the States is a totally different beast for us still. We do probably 10 times better in Canada than we do in the States, but it's one of those things where you just have to get down there and work it the same way we did when we were starting out in Canada. It's all about hard work. There's so many bands and so much people, and it's such a big country and so many cities as well. So that's just going to take a lot and a lot and a lot of hard work.
But you seem to have the drive and the dedication to do it.
Oh yeah, and it's not like I have anything better to do. So
it is your day job.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on October the 13th, which just happens to be a Friday, your second full-length album is being released. It's called Young Beauties and Fools. Is there a significance to the release date being Friday the 13th?
Yeah, I was born on September Friday the 13th. And it doesn't fall on this year, but the album being, relatively autobiographical and of, my trials and tribulations of the last 3 years. And, there's a line in the song that starts one of the songs, I was born on Friday the 13th in the town of Limestone and Penitentiaries. Just kind of goes along with that.
I've had the chance to listen through the album about, probably 3 times now. And I did pick up on that. I was born on Friday the 13th. And it was like, okay, that's why I wanted to ask if there was a significance to it. I somehow missed the line about the penitentiaries, which relates to Kingston. So it's, cool. So can you tell me a bit about the album and the journey in making it?
Yeah. Well, so in all honesty, the album's been being made for the better part of 3 years. When we finally hit stride, it only took about 3 weeks to actually do the whole thing. But it's been about 3 years writing tunes, trying to figure out where the next step was. And, we were kind of in limbo for a little while. It was kind of a little bit rattling, and gone into the studio 3 times to no avail. You know, we came out with some songs, but none that we really felt were game-changing for us. And so one thing led to another, and we heard these demos by this production/band team called Fast Friends, and they're from Los Angeles, and it was kind of just fit. Like we knew that was a stylistic a style that we wanted to pursue. It was a style that kind of we were looking for, and we ended up going down there on kind of a blind date, and we ended up knocking out, I think it was 17 songs in 21 days.
Wow.
So after that, the hardest part of the whole album was kind of, choosing which ones would be on the album.
Well, I have to say, from the first track, My Poor Heart, it really did grab me. And each song just, I am the resident country girl, but I accept all genres of music, and I would listen to this road tripping in the car.
Good.
So it is good. Very, very good. And
Thank you.
Even here in Sudbury, I talked to some people, and it's like, oh yeah, wow, the Glorious Sons, yes, they're amazing. So you're definitely getting a following, which is great to hear. Now, as I say, this is your second full-length album. You released an EP way back in, I believe it was 2013, and then your first full-length album called The Union. That really sort of exploded you guys onto radio and the public eye.
Yeah.
How do you feel this album has progressed from your first one?
Well, it's a bit of a departure. We didn't want to write the same album again, and on the last album, we're very proud of the Union. I'm very proud of it. It did a lot of good things for us, but a lot of the comparisons to it were 1970s old school real rock and roll, and I just found that our tastes and our playing abilities and our writing just kind of outgrew and progressed past that. We wanted to write an album that sounded like rock and roll in 2017. We didn't want to write an album that sounded like rock and roll from the 1970s. The production on it is obviously a lot more ambitious, and I feel as a vocalist I've become a lot more in tune with my voice and the way I want to sound, and and the writing style is a lot more personal and a lot more honest, and it's kind of a lot. This album's a lot more of looking in than looking out.
Now you are pretty much the primary songwriter for the band, are you not?
I'm the primary lyricist, but I am the lyricist mainly.
Okay.
I've always been of the belief that the best line wins.
Okay.
So if somebody has an idea that's better than mine, then all the power to them. Let's use it. But yeah, I'm the primary lyricist, and then as far as musically, I'd say everybody chips in quite a bit.
Good. Okay. So you're drawing a lot of inspiration from personal life, it seems, especially with this album.
Yes. Yeah. It's mainly about my endeavors over the last 3 years. Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, your first single from this album, called Everything Is All Right, has been creating a buzz at radio. Can you tell me about some of those accomplishments and what it means to you?
Yeah, well, radio has been great to us. Honestly, we have been very lucky from the outset to have the support of radio stations all across this country. From Mama to Everything's All Right. I think every single one of them has been played, and they've all reached top 10. And honestly, that's what propelled our career. It was our songs getting on the radio, people listening to them, and trying to figure out who they were by. And after that, it was our live show. So to me, we probably wouldn't have had the chances that we have nowadays if radio hadn't supported us. And it's just been amazing, actually. From the get-go, we've had so much help, so much luck, and so much support from so many different people, and I can't really I can't be any more thankful for that. And that's one thing that you really have to remember when you're riding away on the road and you're 30 days in with 30 left to go, and you don't really want to be there anymore, because there's a lot of people that are waiting to listen, and a lot of people who are dependent on your music, and a lot of people who have invested their time and money and heart into this project. So, it's been a roller coaster, but it's also in a lot of ways it's been extremely humbling, and I'm very thankful for it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. So you've got a tour supporting this album, which begins on October the 19th in Toronto at the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Back-to-back shows, the 19th and the 20th. Those are already sold out.
Yeah.
That says something right there. People want to see you. They can't get enough of you that it's 2 sold-out shows. And at the end of the tour, you're coming back to do a third show.
Yeah.
So Toronto, you obviously have a strong following in Toronto.
Yeah.
And then you'll be heading out west and working your way back from out west, like BC, and then working your way back, and a few U.S. dates as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, it's pretty crazy as well that we're probably gonna have 3 sold out shows in Toronto, and we weren't even. We were expecting to play 1, which is a pretty amazing feeling, actually, coming off the top of this album. It feels like things are ramping up pretty good for us.
Well, we touched on this a bit at the beginning. One of my questions is, do you feel the U.S. fans are embracing your music the same way your fans up here do?
Well, there's 2 ways of looking at it. As far as our popularity, I would say obviously not. Like, we're not getting rammed on the radio all the time. We haven't had any, huge success down there as far as, there's nothing to measure as far as success. But every time we play live in front of a crowd, it's the exact same feeling I got when we were playing up here.
Mm-hmm.
It's, people really respond to it down there at a live show, and I think that's probably the best indicator. That's why we still go down there in the first place, because it's always been whenever we get in front of a crowd, even if we're in front of 5 people, though, we're still taking those 5 people home as fans.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as like any kind of tangible success or tangible money or I guess just success, we don't have that yet. But I think that all signs point to the fact that we're going to be growing a pretty good business down there.
That's good. Whether it's in one of your Canadian dates or one of your U.S. dates, is there a show that you're most looking forward to doing?
Honestly, I'm just really excited to get back out on tour again. We just wrapped up a 16, 17 show festival season, and that's great. But a lot of festival season is kind of you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out, you're home, you're not, and that's really fun. And you know, the crowds are great, the cities are great, but to just be on the bus, to have a job each day, and you know, to wake up knowing that you know you have a job for a good month and a half or whatever the tour length is. I don't pay attention to that stuff. That's the reason we're doing it. Is for the purpose. You know, that's my job, is to be on the road, on the bus, going from city to city, playing in front of a different audience. You know, trying to give people their money's worth each night. So I'm just very, very excited. Obviously, the 3 Toronto shows is a little bit of like a celebration, because you know that's a pretty big deal for us. So that's exciting. But it's going to be the same feeling all over, all across the country. Every show, every song, and I cannot wait.
Great, great. Well, I wish you all the best with the tour. I'm sure it'll end up being a big success for you. So
Thank you.
beyond the tour and everything that's going on, what else is in store for the Glorious Sons after that?
Well, we're releasing an album, and management tells us we're going to be on the road for 4 years. So I don't see any end to this for a little while. I haven't touched a guitar in a month. I'm just kind of taking my brain and shutting it down for a little while as far as writing goes. I wrote too much, and for a little while, and I think I'm in a period of relaxation regarding that phase. But you know, I can't see any foreseeable end to this touring for now. I'm pretty excited about that, and it's a little bit scary too. I'm trying to get my stamina back and get the rust out of my bones, so we can have a successful and long, happy tour.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I do wish you all the best with the album and the tour. And depending on my schedule, I'd love to come down to one of the Phoenix shows if we can make that work.
So. Well, you just let us know, because we'll get you guest lists every time if you'd like.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All righty. Well, I'll let you go. We've been speaking with Brett Emmons from the Glorious Sons, and I am Linda Heldman for Canadian Beaks.